I sort of. Say again?
Are we working out the yellow book?
Yeah, very soon. Why?
Every time I take
I'm gonna
out
put
the
it
back,
up
you
here,
don't
don't
say
worry.
anything, and then work out the yellow book. I just love it.
So I just want to remind you that we already talked a little bit about this coming chapter. I've been trying to get you ready for it. Because as you're learning how to factor, I kind of like to show you how factoring is useful. Oh, sorry. You guys just getting this back, let me know later if you have any questions. So we did something like this. Oh, and let's start off like this. Somebody help me out. What would you do with that?
Reduce.
That's crazy. And exactly how would you do that?
Divide.
Good, right? Because what goes into both? Two, I like it. So it is GCF. So I'm going to do something we never would do because numbers we normally can attack. Our brain jumps on them better than letters. But let me show you what you're really doing. This is 2 times 3. 2 times 4. Why exactly can I do this?
Because we have in both.
No, be more specific.
Multiplication.
Good. They're multiplying, and the bar in the middle means division. So anytime you want to cancel something, you got to make sure that the operations are opposite. Right? You guys with me? So why am I making a big deal out of this? I don't know. Because what about this? Can you reduce 9 over 8? Can you reduce that?
No.
Hell no. I didn't say turn it to a mixed number. Don't tell me that. You can't reduce this, right? But what if I wrote, isn't 8 plus 1 9?
Yes.
Sure.
And then people will now suddenly say, yeah, I could do something. How would you suddenly do that?
No.
So why can't I cancel those 8s?
Because those are addition between.
Yeah, this is addition. Could division kill addition?
No.
Hell no. What could I do then? There is one thing I could do. Right? Since there's one term, I could break it up.
Oh.
And then this is what? 1 and 1/8, which is what that would be as a mixed number, right?
Oh yeah.
So the most I could do is change it into a mixed number. I can't reduce it because I need multiplication for the division to be able to cancel stuff. All right. So what about this?
X over X plus 4 over.
Yeah. Oh, it's my poor little y dude.
Oh, it's a Y.
I can't do this.
Oh, 0.
I can't do this, but the minute I make it variables, people forget that. Because your brain goes, I don't like those freaking letters. Let's kill some of them. Right? And you're like, yes, brain. Narf. So, no peeking brain. You can't do this. The answer would not be like Z or 1 plus Z. You can see where the 1 would come from, right? No. Just want to make sure you understand. No. But you could go X over X plus Z over X if you really wanted to. And that would be 1 plus Z over X. That's the most you could do. Yes, sir?
It wouldn't be X plus Z over X? Instead of
It
1?
is X plus Z over
I was
X.
talking about in the, like...
What's X divided by X?
1. Okay.
What's being divided by X? What's being divided by X? X and Z. So if you do this and just write a Z by, how did Z escape being divided? Z's like, I like being Z. I don't want to be divided by shit. Just go over there. No, you can't escape. You're being divided. It's too damn bad. Okay, maybe.
Those 2 terms?
Say again?
Those 2 terms?
Yeah, I could. Same way I made this into 1 plus 1/8, I can make this into 1 plus Z over X. It's sort of like a mixed variable expression, right? Mixed fraction number thing with variables in it. There's no quick way to say it. So okay. What about this here? So if I had this, I can't just kill one of the A's, right?
No.
Because the top has addition, so the division bar can't cancel anything. It can only cancel multiplication. But if I rewrite the top as a multiplication problem, and you can do that. What is A plus A plus A plus A?
4A.
4 times A, right? 4 A's. 4 times A. Now what can I do?
Kill the
Bam.
A.
Yeah. Alright, so what I'm trying to get you to realize, if I don't currently have multiplication on the top and the bottom, I have addition or subtraction. If I can rewrite it to be multiplication, I can then maybe kill some things. And how do we take like x squared minus 9 and rewrite it as multiplication? We factor the damn thing, right? Just like we factored the number here. Like, so that's the trick. You factor what's there, and then you see what can die. So if I had this, what do you got? I don't know, man. No, that would be the wrong way to go. I appreciate that though. That's what we're used to looking for that. But now when I want to reduce fractions, I want to break things up. It's already broken up on the top, right?
So do they just...
What's the same? Why were we able to kill the 2's? 2 things. Because it was multiplication division, and the 2's are the same. So of course they're going to kill each other. They're going to cancel each other out. So what's the same on the top and bottom?
Just got X.
X plus 2.
X plus 2. Does the top or the bottom have an X? No. There's no X's in there anywhere. I see an X plus 2, and a 2, and an X plus 2. So what's the same on the top and bottom?
X plus 2.
So what's the answer? 2.
Wait, but they're being added, not multiplied.
But the 2.
2 times, right? Is there a times there?
Yes, there is.
2 times X plus 2 divided by X plus 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just the same as 2 times anything divided by that thing.
Okay,
Things cancel.
but if the parentheses weren't there, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, exactly. If there was a plus or a minus sign between instead of a times. But when we did factoring, I try to get you guys to start looking at X plus 2. In many situations, you can look at that as one thing. One little piece. Because the same little piece is down there. So they kill each other. The same way that 2x over x would work. Same exact way. So, if my problem started off as this, why is that different than what I just did? Why can't I do what I just did here?
Because between them subtraction.
There's subtraction between these, right? I mean, there's nothing that's the same on the top and the bottom. There's nothing that's the same. Do I see an x minus 3 up here?
No.
Do I see a 3x minus 9 down there?
No.
Shit. So which part can I factor?
The top.
The top. So leave the bottom the same. Rewrite the top. What comes out?
3. X minus 3.
Now what cancels?
Yeah, X minus 3.
So you're left with,
3.
yeah. It's interesting. Any number you make x, this fraction will come out to be 3, except for one value of x. So let's transition to the next kind of thing. No, 0 is fine.
Really?
When you say 0, what do you mean? The what can't be 0? The bottom can't be 0. X minus 3 is on the bottom, so what can x not be? What makes that 0?
X
is 3.
3. So x can't be 3. So the minute I write something like this down, this is implied. I can't let x be 3, because what would happen, I would get something undefined. Alright, so let's transition to the yellow book. And I'm going to put it up here. That's where I want to start off in the yellow book. So if you have the yellow book, let's see, it's page 138. Oh, no, it's not. That's back a chapter. Oh, on chapter 7. So we're actually on page 177.
131 in blue book.
So 131 in the blue book?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if you remember, I forgot to do this earlier. Remind you guys, a rational number, what's the definition of a rational number?
Fraction.
Fraction, because the word ratio is in there, right? So when I make ratios of polynomials, when I put a polynomial over another polynomial, I get what's called a rational expression. In the yellow book, it's 177. All right, how are we doing so far? So this chapter 7 is titled Rational Expressions and Equations, or something like that. Yes, there you go, Jeff, you did good. Because it's full of polynomials divided by other polynomials. Maybe. So somebody give me another possible rational expression. Who wants to go?
3 over 4.
That's crazy. That I'll accept that. That we would just call that a rational number because it's only got numbers in it, right? So I want a true rational expression. So what can you do to that to make it a rational expression?
Add some variables.
Yeah, 3x over 4y. That's a rational expression. Just come up with a polynomial like x squared minus 4x plus 5. Yay! Come up with another one. X plus 2. Yay! There you go. There's one we know. Isn't that one we know? Not this one specifically, but what would the problem say? It would probably say long divide this business, right? But thank God in chapter 7 we're going to say, if I can factor the dang thing, maybe I can escape long division. I can just cancel stuff out directly. How are we doing so far? So that's what they mean when they say rational expression, a ratio of expressions, polynomials. So just to make sure you understand how this works, it's still the same as always. If I give you an expression and I say, okay, what if x was 4? What would this be?
3 over 4 plus 1.
Yeah, 3 over 4 plus 1, so that's
3 over 5.
3 over 5. Kick ass. You guys try number 2. Don't say anything out loud. Try number 2. What's interesting to me is when people do this problem, they just put a negative 2 in for one of the y's, but y is negative 2 wherever the hell you see it. You put a negative 2 there, so it'd be 3 times negative 2 squared minus 1, so I put the negative 2 in there, over
Negative 4.
2 times negative 2 plus 1. So I just replaced, and notice how I put it in parentheses. Way a long time ago we talked about this. That's the way to make sure that the operations are maintained. If I didn't put parentheses in there, it would look like 3 minus 2 squared. That doesn't look like, it's supposed to be times, right? That looks like subtraction now. Oh shit, I need to put in parentheses. Now that's still times. So that preserves the operations. So what do you get on the top here? What do you do first on the top? Yeah, so here you get 4 times 3 is
12.
minus 1?
11. Over minus 5.
Yeah, careful. What's 2 times negative 2?
Negative 4.
Negative 4 plus 1.
So it's a negative 2.
Crap.
Wait.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, what's happened?
What is that?
Alright, I'm sorry. Where's things bad?
I put minus,
How we doing?
minus 4, minus 4.
Are we good with the top? Negative 2 squared is 4. Totally. What's in the parentheses? So, good point. Understand that in order operations, the P is inside the parentheses. If there's nothing to do inside them, you then do exponents. Parentheses don't suddenly make multiplication first, unless the parentheses are around the multiplication, right? So this is 3 times something to the second power. I got to raise it first. Exponents comes before multiplication. Is that all right? So again, if I said, oh my God, Jeff, yeah, any scrap paper left. If I said 3 times 5 squared plus 1, that's a little easier to see what's going on. There's no parentheses there. Why are there no parentheses? Because I don't need them. I got a little dot.
Yeah.
Got a little dot. But what if it was a -5 here?
We need parentheses.
That doesn't look right. I need frickin' parentheses. So the only thing the parentheses mean in this case is multiplication. They're not at the P level because there ain't nothing to do on the inside.
But then you guys multiply, you got negative left.
No. When I multiply it, I get 12
Okay, that's what
minus 1.
I was so confused.
I got you. Is it cool now?
Yeah.
So 12 minus 1, 11.
Mm-hmm.
-4 plus 1, -3.
Okay.
I like it. And it's a little bit better to write that negative on the top, but either way. As long as the negative's in there somewhere.
I was gonna say, does it matter? Like,
It's
sometimes I
convention.
forget where
It's convention
so I
to
just put
not.
it in the middle.
Yeah, you can put it in the middle. But normally we don't leave it on the bottom because then it's easier to lose. That's really the only reason. It's just easier to lose down there. Yeah, what happens here? This one's nice.
We end up with 0.
The 10.
10 over
Yeah,
0.
put 7 times 1 plus 3 over 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 1. Just put a 1 everywhere I saw an X.
10 over 0.
Yeah. What are we doing? We alright? They tell me X is 1. Yes, sir.
Will this be considered undefined or irrational?
Well, let's find out. You ready? So, irrational specifically means a number that cannot be written as a ratio, like pi. Right? You can say, well, it's pi over 1. No, ratio of whole numbers, right? So I can't write that. That's why it's irrational. So this, what happens? You get 10 over 0. 1 plus 1 is 2 minus 2 is 0. Which is what? What is something divided by 0? It's undefined. I like it. So it's not irrational. It is a ratio. It's just that I can't have the 0 on the bottom in a ratio, so that's, we call it undefined, because we don't have a number that does that. I like it. Cool. How are we doing so far? I mean, that's just plug and chug. You want to make sure you understand, just because I got some stuff on the bottom, you still just plug and chug like always. This is what I was talking about, the last thing on the board. So be really careful. X could, like here, B could be 0 all day long. If B was 0, what is this? What do I get if B is 0? What do I get? Look what you can do. If B is 0, I get
5 over
negative 5/3. 0 plus 5 over 0 minus. I get. Is that okay? Is that a good number?
Yeah.
Is that a valid number? Yes, totally, all day long. It's not divided by 0. So here, what would the values of the variable where it's undefined? What would make this undefined? 3. And the way you do it is, what would you say in English can't happen in a fraction? You got a top and you got a bottom. Tell me in English what can't happen. I like it. You went even more technical. That's awesome. The denominator, you're good. Don't worry, I mean, you did great. I call it bottom, and you said, well, Jeff, it's denominator. The bottom, or the denominator, cannot be 0. So, the bottom can't be 0. You can always write that for any rational expression, right? Now, what is the bottom? What is the bottom in this problem? What is it?
B minus
B minus 3. Now solve for B. Now I know so many guys are like, I can just look at that thing and tell, but just wait. We're going to get something that you can't just look at it and tell. So if you can just look at that and tell, that's awesome. But this is really what you're doing. How do you solve for B?
And 3
equals
three
3.
sides.
So what can B not be? B cannot be 3. If B were 3, I would get
0.
undefined. I get 0 on the bottom. I get an undefined thing.
So that's your answer?
Yeah, look what it says. Find all values where it's undefined. That's all I'm doing. I'm not simplifying the fraction. I'm just finding what makes this thing freak out. So I'm not factoring and reducing. That's not what it tells me to do. It just says, what values can you not use? I can't use 3. So what about the first one? The first one's actually easier.
Couldn't be 0.
It can't be 0. I love it. So the bottom can't be 0. Divide by 6. So So the x can't be 0. Some people tell me -6. You can see maybe why they would say that, but -6 times 6 is -36. I can divide by that. I just can't let it be 0. You guys, what about number 3?
2.
It's a good start. So again, to cover your ass, what do? The beautiful thing, I really want this, the reason I'm spending some time on this is because in your future, you're going to deal with like radicals, and you're going to have to find what values of the variable you can't use. And I always say it in English, what can't happen, and then write what you just said in math. And then solve it. That always works. It's crazy. So what makes this thing undefined if the bottom is 0? So I can't let that happen. So the bottom can't be 0. What is the bottom? Yeah. Now you take it out of English and you put it into Mathish. Now how do you solve that? No, you don't.
No. You.
Sorry, I can't.
Squares?
You factor it.
Factor it, yes. Cool, just like the last test. Whenever you have a variable that's being raised to a power that's higher than 1, you get it equal to 0. Is 0 on one side? Yes. And how's this side factor?
Y minus 2, y plus 2.
Y plus 2.
So what can y not be? Y can't be 2. You're right, y can't be 2, but it also can't be -2. Oh shit. Because what's 2 squared? 4 minus 4 is 0. What's -2 squared? 4. 4 minus 4 is still 0. So that's why neither one of them can work. How many do I expect to show up? 2, because there's a freaking second power. Remember that? You try number 4. Answer a question. Question, okay. Good, I love it. What can the top not be? It could be anything. What's 0 divided by 7? 0. Any other number, you could put any number you want to on the top. What's the only part of a fraction that I have to be careful with? The bottom. So it's a good question. That's why I don't care at all what's on the top when they're asking me what makes this undefined. Because what's the only way a fraction can be undefined if 0 is on the bottom. That's why I'm totally focusing on the bottom. If they said reduce this, oh shit, I got to factor the top, factor the bottom, see what's common. That's not this question. This question just wants to know what values make this thing freak out. And that's only the bottom. Does anybody see what's going on with this one?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
You sure?
No.
It's sum of square.
You can't factor that, right?
Can't factor it.
In fact, what's the smallest, stay with me. What's the smallest r squared could be?
5.
No, not, you're thinking about this problem, I think. What's 2 squared?
4.
What's 1 squared?
1.
Can I square something and get even smaller than 1?
Yeah, we can. Minus
0 squared is 0. So 1 squared is 1, 0 squared is 0. What's -1 squared? 1. Oh shit, so what's the smallest r squared can be? 0. And then what am I doing to r squared on the bottom? Adding 25. You guys see that? What am I doing to r squared on the bottom? That's the only question right now. What am I doing to r squared on the bottom? Adding 25. Isn't that what's happening? I'm not saying what do I want you to do to it. I'm saying what is the problem doing to r squared on the bottom? It's adding 25. All right, let me see. This can never be 0 because, now Keanu, I can't factor this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm desperate. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract 25, even though Jeff said, no, don't do that. But this makes it a little clearer. Give me something that I square that becomes -25.
Nothing.
Nothing. What does r squared have to be to make the bottom 0? -freaking 20. It can't. What's the smallest it could be? 0. So the bottom is never 0. I can't make the bottom 0 because I can't make the 25 go away.
Oh, jeez.
But in this case, we're gonna solve it, so it's gonna be like -5 without parentheses.
No. You can't do that. Because this says square whatever r is. Right? So stay with me. Now watch, you ready? What if it would have been just this? It doesn't really matter, but 3r plus 1 over r plus 25.
I can't see.
Let me write it and then I'll see what's going on. Right? What if it was just that? Then you would say the bottom can't be 0. Can you solve that?
Yeah.
Of course you can. You subtract 25. R can't be negative 25. No, because what did the problem actually have? A square. So my problem was this. So I really, you got to step back and look at this. What's the only way this could be 0 is if R is negative 25. So it can kill the 25. Right? Can R squared be anything less than 0? No. So can I kill the 25 with R squared? No. The smallest R squared. It has to be negative 25 to kill it. But poor little R squared dude is like, the lowest I can go is 0. Oh shit. So, Giselle, if you can't factor this, you can just say,
But instantly I would have to do R plus 5.
but you should know better than that now. What kind of form is this in? It's a sum of squares. Can you factor a sum of squares?
Oh.
There you go. There's the missing part. If I had this, real quick, sorry, Elijah, I'll get to you. If I had this, I know you can't see it here.
Then I could have.
Yeah, now you say R squared minus 25 can't be 0, right? How do you factor this?
Plus
R plus 5, R minus 5. So R could not be negative 5 or
That's what I
5.
did. Okay.
Alright, because you're allowed to factor that. You can factor that. So being able to factor something means that I can make it 0 at those places. I don't know if you guys get that. So some things that I can't factor, especially sum of squares, I cannot make them 0. I can't. That's one reason why I can't factor them. Think about it. B squared minus 49. Isn't it 0 when B is 7? It's also 0 when B is negative 7. Right? Negative 7 squared is 49. And how does it factor?
B,
Being able to factor something means there are places it can equal 0. Now that's a little oversimplified because you could factor stuff and the numbers just come out ugly. But some things, especially sum of squares, since you can't factor it, you can't make it equal to 0. Okay. Amen. Alright, so that's one part of the homework is going to be what values of the variable make this undefined. You just make the bottom 0 and solve, right? Yes, sir.
Can you show that form real quick again?
What happened? Which one?
Yeah. Oh,
So this one would be no values. Make it undefined. Because it's impossible for this to happen. I can't. R squared is never equal to negative 25.
plus say prime.
No, that's not really answering the question. The question is what values make this undefined? No values make it undefined. Yeah. All values work. I can use any number I want to for R. Alright. So one section of the homework is going to be all about undefined. Don't try to reduce it, just find out what makes it undefined. The other section is going to be all about simplification, which in this case means reduce. So we've got to do number 1 there. Number 1's an old problem.
There's 90.
Sure, shout it out. Let's see. Because, I mean, this is just, we've seen this kind of problem before. 3 goes into 27.9. And how many p's are left?
1.
On the top, I like it. So 9p. That was easy. Why was that easy? Is there any pluses and minuses in
No.
there? It's all multiplication division, so I can immediately kill things. Number 2, oh shit. You knew what I was going to say. I like it. So whenever you see something, you want to reduce it, but it's got minuses and pluses in the way. You factor it.
You're factor, yeah.
Exactly. Right? You factor it, so then you can kill stuff. Legally. Right? Let's purge. We're going to purge this of its excessive numbers and letters.
So your GCF.
Totally.
X minus
So you
3.
just do this. You just forget there's a bunch. Just say factor that. Factor that. The first step is forget that it's in a fraction. It's just two factoring problems. So how do I factor the top?
It's
8 comes out, and I'm left with.
X
Minus 3.
And how do I factor the bottom?
4 out of 4.
And what am I left with?
X minus 3. Cancel out X minus 3.
Good. So the x minus 3's